All right, we are live in five. Bit of a sound check, make sure everything's working. It's been a while since I've done a show. A couple weeks, I think, or a couple months.
I think it's been a couple months.
Couple months. I took a break, and I decided to change the day from Wednesday to Monday. So if anybody's going, why is he live on Monday? It's because I'm actually off on Mondays because the cafe is closed on Mondays. So I have to have a little bit of time on Mondays. So anyway, go grab yourself a beverage. Chirp in. Let me know if everybody can hear. I see Heather is tuned in from Thunder Bay. Hey, Heather, how's it going? Say hi to Frank. Hope you guys are having a good visit with the kids. And we'll be with you shortly.
I don't see anything on Twitch yet.
And yeah, I should mention we are live on Twitch as well. So we're feeding to Facebook.
Do you have your audio on?
Oh, I see what happens. Test 1, 2. Bum, bum, bum. Minute 24. We have a moderator tonight as well, as what I was going to say. She is following along on the Cottage Coffee page. If you want to interact, Cynthia will be on that page following. I'm following the Westport video page. We are on Twitch and YouTube and Vimeo. So by all means, if you're feel like watching that way, you can. Won't be able to interact with you guys. I can definitely interact after the show, answer any questions that you might have had, or say hi. How are you doing over there?
I'm trying to sort things out so I can actually hear what's happening. So just give me a sec. Give me a sec here.
I like it. I like it when it's not just me that has technical difficulties 30 seconds before a show. I got a huge glass of water here. Anyway.
It's a little too on the nose, if you ask me. I mean,
No, it's gonna be fine, and you look fabulous.
Okay.
Okay, here we go, and action.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Espresso Shots Live. My name is John, filming from Westport, Ontario. Back for some more Espresso Shots Live. Took a little bit of a break. Needed a bit of a break, and did that. And we've decided to come back on a Monday night, because Monday nights work a little bit better for me. So I wanted to give a shout out to Heather. Heather's following us. She's all the way in Thunder Bay right now. And she says it's hot in Thunder Bay. And I tell you, it's hot here as well. Absolutely hot here as well. If I click this off, do you guys lose me? If I turn that audio off, you're still good? All right. Hey, Bob. Thanks for joining, Bob. Bob's out in North Crosby, and Rob Olson all the way out up towards Belleville way. So, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm assuming it's hot where you guys are, because it is hot here. So I'm going to ask what's in your cup tonight. Well, I'll tell you what is in my cup. I have this huge glass of water that I'm trying not to spill all over myself, because I have a tendency to do that. So cheers, everybody. Westport's finest right there. Westport's finest. I'm going to set that down right there. Anybody? Hey, Frank's joined us tonight. Hey, Frank. Thanks for tuning in.
We've got Brad Green Slates with us tonight.
Hey, Brad. How's it going, bud?
On the Cottage Coffee page.
On Cottage Coffee. Let's talk, since we're talking about Cottage Coffee, let's talk a bit about Cottage Coffee. So yeah, good news. June 11th, which is Friday, we go into phase 1 for 21 days. And which means we're allowed to open our patios up, which is a real change for us. And then the retail is allowed to open up their doors to a 15% capacity. So at least you can get inside and look at stuff. If you want to go look at do some shopping in town, you can. It's been a while since I've been in a store. Probably over a year since I've been in a store, other than a grocery store. So Cottage Coffee. Just tell you what our hours are. We are Monday through Saturday, 9 until 3 p.m. And then we swing back at 6:30 until 8 p.m. to serve ice cream. We added in hard serve ice cream this year. We are serving a product called Central Smith, and it is fantastic. Really liking it, and people are really enjoying it as well. So that's what's happening. And then on Sundays, we are open for a short day, 11 a.m. until 2 p.m., and again, closed on Mondays, which means Mondays I'm free, so I can spend a little bit of time trying to put together a show for you guys. So I think without further ado, like I said, I have water in my cup. What do you guys have in your cup tonight?
Well, I have to take these ears off here. I have a espresso that I ended up having to make into a coffee, because I opened the fridge and we had no milk, so I couldn't make a latte. So I am just having, I guess I'm having a long espresso. Jeff and Maureen from Ohio are tuning in, just so you know. They're back with us, and they were happy to see Espresso Shots is back on live for our live show.
Fueled by positive energy. Thanks, Jeff. Guys, for following us again. You guys were always following along, and we appreciate to have you guys back. And I'm happy to be back. And I wasn't sure I was going to return, and I thought, what else do I got to do, right? So I think without further ado, let's get right into the weather here, because the weather is kind of the story of the week here, or definitely the story of the last few days. So let's chirp in to see what Happy McSunny has to say about the weather.
Good Monday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Happy McSunny, and I'm reporting to you live from the Westport and the Rideau Lakes area from the comfort of my backyard oasis. Next few days are going to be in the 30s, very hot and humid. A chance of some thunderstorms tomorrow morning, But for the most part, it's going to be a beautiful week. By Thursday, the weather's going to be a little nicer. The heat's going to break a little bit with the high 23 on Thursday and Friday. And on Friday, some great news. We're entering phase 1 of the reopening plan in Ontario. So support your local businesses as non-essential open back up for the first time in many, 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 many months. And if you haven't had a chance to book your second vaccine, go out and do it. Back to you in the studio, John.
Well, there you have it. Happy McSunny. Thanks for the great weather report. If you notice, she was standing in a new swimming pool. Friendly reminder to treat your pets with respect during this heat wave. Remember, it's hot for us and it's hot for those guys as well. Your dogs, your cats, all your animals. I know Zoe had a little bit of ambition to run and chase the ball, but she's the kind of dog that would run herself to death chasing that ball. So we have to kind of be mindful of how often we are throwing it to her and what we're doing. So Cynthia bought her a pool to cool down. And thanks for doing that, Cynthia. I know Zoe appreciated it. She thinks it's just a big water dish. She stands in it and just drinks out of it. She goes, "This is like one big water dish that they bought me." I have no sound. All right. Well, I always do that. Eh? After my Happy McSunny segments, I always forget to drag my audio back up. But anyway, what I was saying is, yes, it is hot. And remember that it's hot for your pets as well. That pool that Cynthia's in, she bought for Zoe to cool her down. She bought it today, actually, from the hardware store here in town. And Zoe just thinks it's a big water dish, so she stands inside the pool and drinks out of it. But you want to make sure it's hot for us and it's hot for your pets as well, cats, dogs, any animals that are outside. So we have to be mindful. Zoe will chase the ball until she would, I don't know, till she passed out. So we have to be mindful of how many times we throw the ball to her in this heat. Try to keep her cool and put her in the shade and try not to transition them between the air conditioning outside to the really warm weather outside. It's a challenge. So be mindful. Look after your pets. I know you guys do. And I wanted to thank Cynthia for buying Zoe that pool because she seemed to be quite happy in there.
Yes, she had lots of fun when I was filling it up. And just a correction, my apologies to Jeff and Maureen. They're not Ohio, they're North Carolina, and I should know that. So my apologies, Jeff and Maureen. It's
Yeah.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
I guess my brain's a little fried today from the heat.
Hey, it's a big country. It's a big place. You can't get everything right. But you're pretty sharp generally, so that's good that you
Let it slide this time.
we'll let it slide this time.
All right.
Gypsy moth. Oh my golly. I don't know what they're like out in North Carolina, but they are wild in this area. Sat down, had a coffee before the show, and we just wanted to check out trees. We thought we'd had them kind of cleaned up, but they were everywhere. I took a pair of needle nose pliers and a mason jar, and I picked off a mason jar full of them in about 15 minutes. Just wild. They say spray some soap. Don says spray some soap and water on the trees to repel them. BS. That was probably written by the Dawn Soap Company. I don't think that works. At least it hasn't worked for us. We've done the red tape on the base, which kind of keeps some of them off. But they're just relentless. They'll climb up the fence, up your house, whatever they have to do to get to those leaves. Oak leaves, birch leaves, maple leaves. They're just devouring those things. So hopefully the government will maybe come up with a program where they can kind of figure out some way to control these things. They were bad last year, but this year they're just hanging everywhere. And there's that silk spider web kind of look everywhere you go. It's in your face. It's on your arms. It's just nasty stuff. Anybody having any gypsy moth issues in their backyard, or anybody have any great solutions to kind of control them other than the burlap on the base or the red tape on the base?
One thing that even on Holy Mountain, hiking up there, they've got a huge canopy, lots of trees, but there's just as many gypsy moth up there too. So those early morning hikes aren't very pleasant with gypsy moth worms landing on you.
And it's funny in the evening time when you sit outside, you hear this like little munch, 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 munch. So we had a conversation the other day. I think you can actually hear them eating the leaves. Cynthia says it's actually them pooping. So maybe it's a combination of them eating and pooping, but you can actually hear the noise. Maybe next week's show I'll take my Zoom mic outside and I'll record some evening air, and you can hear that kind of crunch, crunch, crunch sound. Kind of eerie, actually. So anyway, we won't focus too much on the gypsy moth. Last year it was the murder hornets and all kinds of other things that were happening last year. Well, this year it's the gypsy moth. And speaking of insects, bumblebees. Cynthia rescued a bumblebee, I'll say 2 weeks back. It was kind of lethargic, laying on the sidewalk. So did some research, and she went back with a little bit of sugar water, because they recommend a little bit of sugar water to kind of refreshen them. And she was able to bring it back to life. She brought the bumblebee home and put it in the flower pot, and eventually the bumblebee seemed to catch its breath, and it got its senses and went on about its day. But bumblebees are very susceptible to climate change. And when you're seeing bees lying around dead, it's not because they're being poisoned, or it's not because they're getting into insecticides. It's really to do with climate change and disease. There are a few viruses that affect bumblebees, just like COVID-19 affects us. And when they get into their hives, they get kicked out of their hives because you cannot social distance in a bumblebee hive. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Cannot social distance. No, I kind of figured that. They're all jammed in there.
And it's really hard to get the little face masks on the bumblebees. So if you're seeing bumblebees lying around, it's a bummer, but it is kind of a result of climate change. So if you want to protect the bumblebees, stop buying plastics and stop doing things that are bad for the environment. Best thing you can do. But I don't want to preach about bumblebees. We try to we're friend of the bees. Even though I don't like wasps and things that sting me, we tend not to hurt them. We try to let them go about their day and do what they're supposed to do, because without those guys, we don't have honey, we don't have pollination, we don't have all kinds of things.
We don't have
Fruits, vegetables. Yeah, pretty important little guys. I wrote down the name of one of them. It's actually called, there's two viruses that they get. One is called a deformed wing virus, and the other one is a fungal parasite called Nosema, some other long Latin name at the end of it. But those are the two viruses that the bees get. So there you go. If you want to do a bit of research, Google bumblebees and Google things like that. Always interesting stuff, for sure. So last night, we watched the Juno Awards. I'm not one to watch the Junos, but I thought, hey, Cynthia was going to watch the Junos. Why not watch the Junos with Cynthia? So she came out and says, John, the Junos are on. Let's watch the Junos. So we did. So the Junos have been around since the 70s. And I don't know. I mean, I love Canadian artists and I love Canadian music. But in my opinion only, the Junos were really a little bit on the lame side. And I really like Jan Arden. She gave a heartfelt speech about her mother and performed one of her songs. I think it was called Insensitive that she performed. No?
Good Mother.
Okay. She performed Good Mother, so there you go. Great song. And there's a few other great guests. But I grabbed this clip, and I'll probably get hoofed off Facebook for playing this, but I'm going to play it anyway. So I know we struggle, and I wanted to watch the show because of Tragically Hip, minus Gord were going to perform at the end. So I thought this would be great. We'll get to see a bit of rock and roll. Canadian, I mean, there's a lot of great rock in Canada. One of my son's favorite bands, Crownlands, the Hip, Rush. There's a flurry of awesome musicians, April Wine, a lot of great rock acts, but the whole music scene is changing to more of a hip-hop kind of sound. Not my scene at all, but other people obviously like it. So they had the album of the year, and I thought, okay, the album of the year. So here I'll play this for you, the album of the year.
Album of the Year, presented by Music Canada. You Ali Gaddy. Courage, Celine Dion. Changes, Justin Bieber.
What happens to love?
Thanks for the Dance, Leonard Cohen. After Hours, The Weekend.
So, what struck me is I love Leonard Cohen. Don't get me wrong, huge fan of Leonard Cohen, but Celine Dion and Leonard Cohen album of the year. That's where we are still. I don't know, man. I just think something is wrong, and I don't know what it is. Leonard Cohen is fantastic, but album of the year that he was even in that category, he didn't win. You could tune in to find out who won, but and same with Celine Dion. I don't think. I'm gonna call them relics, and even though Leonard Cohen is not even around anymore, that's old music. And where's the new rock? Where's the good Canadiana stuff that I wanted to hear? It just wasn't there. So something was amuck with the Junos. And that's all I'll say about that. And if you enjoyed it, well, great. I think CBC did a pretty decent job with the sound and the mixing of the show. And they had some great guests on there. And they touched on a lot of really sensitive topics, which I thought was good. So if you tuned in, anybody, what award did they win? Yes, Crownlands won Friday night pre-show awards. Yeah, I didn't see that. So I didn't see that, Rob. So that's awesome. Great band. If nobody is listening to Crownlands, Google them and check those guys out. Great musicians. Great musicians. What else is going on in the village here of Westport? What's going on in your village? What's going on where you guys live? Anybody watching hockey? Who would have thought the Montreal Canadiens are going to most likely sweep the Jets, who swept Edmonton and crushed Toronto, the Maple Leafs. Not a huge Montreal Canadian fan, but they're playing pretty good, and I feel they're going to get past this next round. And what do you guys think? Who are you cheering for? Are you cheering for Boston? Are you cheering for Montreal? Do you care at all? Maybe you stopped watching hockey a few years ago like everybody else did. I know I'm going to move this camera down just a touch here. There we go. We stopped watching for a while, but then I wanted to watch it this year because there were actually some fans in the stands in the U.S. and even in Canada we had like 2,500 fans in the stands. So I thought it's pretty cool to see that again because it's we all long for a time where we can get back and watch great bands, great sporting events, just get out in public and not worry about everything that we're worried about right now. Cynthia, who are you cheering for?
I'm cheering for any Canadian team that can keep going.
Keep the dream alive?
Yep.
Keep the dream alive.
This live video has ended.
This live video has ended.
Are you still live?
I'm still live. What are you watching on?
Cottage Coffee House.
Cottage Coffee House. Well, still shows me live here. It still shows everything live up here. I don't know why that says it's ended. Let me check to see if it says it's ended on my account here. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum.
In the meantime, Rob says hockey is done. Canada won the Worlds in overtime against Finland, so that's pretty great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That is nice. That is good. I missed that, Rob. Anyway, like I said, we're still broadcasting on. So if you did lose us, I guess on the Cottage Coffee page, you wouldn't know this, but jump on over to the Westport video page. We're still live on that page, so I'm just gonna wait before I go on to see if that comes back on because I do have a topic that I want to talk a little bit about, a bit more in depth, and I'd like to have both channels up and rolling here.
Okay. It says you lost a few people, but it looks like you're still there. That you're back on.
We're back on. Okay, well, sorry if it went off the air. It was nothing to do with me. It was the internet. It was the internet gods that knocked me off the air. But we're back anyway. So I wanted to talk a bit about camping and campsites and what's kind of going on locally. Something caught my attention this morning with regards to campsites in the Rideau Lakes, and more so about the about I guess the Rideau Lakes Township and how they're responding to what's happening there. Without getting into a lot of particulars, I'm just going to run a little clip today. I had a chance to chat with a campsite owner, Kevin Scott from Sunnyside. So I just thought I'd play that clip for you, and then we'll talk a bit more about it. So by all means, if you know a bit more than I do, chirp in and let me know. All right, so here's a story that caught my eye. Listen, whenever governments decide to get involved in things, whether it be provincially or federally or municipally, and they start making decisions based on what they think is right, before they really have enough time or influence with the people and the businesses that they're going to impact, that is a problem. And that's one thing that agitates me to no end, is when governments, and mainly municipal governments, do these kind of things. Here's a great example. Rideau Lakes decides to ask three of the big guns, three of the big agencies to come in and reassess the campgrounds in the area. And in this area, there's about 13 to 15 different campgrounds. Some are large, some are small, but they all struggle to kind of make things work. And right now, during this pandemic, it is extremely difficult. So to send these agencies in now with very little notice is not right. I had a chance to chat with Kevin Scott this morning from Sunnyside Campgrounds, and here's what he had to say about it. I do a weekly show, so I go on live tonight, and I'm going to do one next week as well. I don't have enough detail about what's happening here yet, but what's your biggest concern, Kevin, with what's happening?
Well, this isn't, again, I've had some comments that, we should be working with council and so forth. This isn't just a brand new situation where I've just jumped on the bandwagon to, toot the horn of campground owners. This is, I've tried to work with the township over the last month. I've had phone conversations and many emails back and forth, and at no time did anybody mention anything about a meeting about what they were going to try to impose on campgrounds, and never were we once asked to either have a forum meeting with all of the respective businesses in the township with regard to if there was complaints or what their concerns were. There was none of that. They've basically just gone to the absolute top of the chain of sending in inspectors from, or they want to send inspectors from, the Ministry of Environment, the Electrical Safety Authority, and so forth.
So the three big guns that the township of the Rideau Lakes are sending in are the ESA, which is the Electrical Safety Association, MPAC, which is really assessing property values, and then the MOECP, which is the Ministry of Environment, Conservation, and Parks.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things that have come up. We had a unit delivered to our park that one of our campers had bought, and within 4 hours the township was here on my doorstep saying that it needed a building permit. Well, in 29 years, none of the recreational vehicles that came into my park have ever needed a building permit or been asked for one.
Right.
And all of a sudden, like, if you wanted to get a building inspection done, you'd have to wait 48 hours. You'd also have to call the township. They would also have to, send you notice and, get a meeting or whatever. They were here in 4.5 hours from that delivery.
Right.
So there was some urgency on their part to get here. When they did get here, they were citing building codes and this, that, and the other, which on 3 different occasions now I've been able to basically find that there were negative, that they didn't have the information that was proper.
Yeah.
And I had to come up with the information for them to say that the type of unit I had was not the type of unit that they thought it was. They said that it needed ground anchoring, which from the manufacturer, they're saying it doesn't, and actually the building code states as per manufacturer's instructions.
Yeah.
They didn't have that information, and it seems to be as soon as I shoot down one of their things, they come up with something new.
All right, Kevin, we'll leave it there. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, take care.
Talk to you later.
All right, let's get my volume turned back up. Turn this guy back down. So if you want to learn a bit more about that, by all means, check out the article in the rearview mirror. It talks a little bit more in detail about what's happening. But the bottom line is a larger company had purchased a campsite with 150 spots, and they want to double it to 300 spots. So obviously some associations got concerned and made voice to the municipal government, Rideau Lakes. And the response was, with a big paintbrush, we're just going to send in these 3 agencies to all campsites right now and make sure they're compliant. Well, it's possibly the wrong time to be doing that. Not that it's the wrong thing to do. It might just be the wrong time to be doing that. There should be a planned action if there are some deficiencies in campsites. I mean, nobody wants to see anybody getting injured. Nobody wants to see the water being polluted, gray water being dumped. It has to be done properly, but there needs to be a strategic plan, whether it's a 2-year plan or a few-year plan, to work that out. And governments, especially municipal governments, need to be willing to work with business owners. And that's one of my biggest complaints, is that when decisions are made, they always say it's in the best betterment of everybody, but they don't have consultation with business owners how it's going to impact them. They don't seem to care because they're politicians. They're not business owners. So politicians, all levels, whether it's Westport, Rideau Lakes, wherever you are, need to have better communications with people like Kevin Scott that understands that industry a lot better than I. If you want to learn more, Kevin, I called him today. I don't know Kevin very well, but he was very happy to chat with me, and he gave me lots of information. Give Kevin a shout. Give him a call. Send him a message on Facebook. I'll add a link here. He's going to set up a petition up to have people sign it. So that's what's happening. So anyway, again, the article is in the rearview mirror last week, I believe. And if you want more information on that, or contact Rideau Lakes themselves and find out what's going on there, because it's obviously it sounds like something a little bit funny to me. Anyway, enough said about that. What else, Cynthia? What else? Do we have any good news? Do we have any fun stuff to talk about tonight?
Very exciting on Bedford Street. They are getting ready to do the last layer of asphalt on Bedford Street. So by the time we open on Friday, I think that road is going to be completely done. So that's pretty exciting. The sidewalks are beautiful if you haven't been walking through the village. And if you want to check it out, go for a walk tomorrow night between 6:30 and 8, and then come and see John and I at Cottage Coffee for some ice cream.
That's a great point. Sorry, Cynthia's audio was a bit low. She's a little bit away from me, so I'm swinging the boom mic over to try to catch her, but the air conditioner is also running from the background, so there's a bit of a hum, so I can't crank up the volume too much. But what she was saying was, yes, the sidewalks are done. The streets are almost done. There's one final coat to go on them. They're great, so great evening to stroll. Tomorrow night we're open at 6:30 till 8 o'clock serving ice cream, so it's a great night to take a stroll. And I got to give a big shout out and a big thank you. This somebody I think needs to be thanked, and that's Lee Trainer. Lee Trainer has gone out every night pretty much since the beginning of the construction, has taken really good pictures of what's been happening, and he's had a really good account of the whole kind of process. And I've kind of watched along as well, even though I walk down and watch myself. But, good job, Lee, for keeping the community kind of seeing what's happening, and people that aren't here to see what's happened and what's changed. So it's definitely a different looking street, and we're all pretty excited to get our stores open on Friday and taking advantage of that. So that is a good news story.
Yep. Bob would like to know if you know anything about the vacant Westport councillor seat. What gives?
Yeah, so what I know about that, Bob, is that they haven't decided to fill it yet. The obvious choice is Frank Huth for that seat. I mean, he only lost the election by, I think, 7 to 9 votes. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody watching. But, yeah, I hope they fill that seat. To leave it vacant does not make any sense to me. We need people in there that are willing to do things and to get things done. And my thought right now is the next election, I think I'm going to throw my name in the hat and run as a councillor because I think that time is due. When I was speaking with Kevin tonight or this afternoon, he talked about councillors maybe sitting too long in certain positions. But I think if councillors are doing a good job and are working hard for their constituents or the people that they represent, they should be sitting in these seats, and they shouldn't be a vacant seat. And if you're going to have a vacant seat in Westport, well, then why not amalgamate and have just Rideau Lakes? What are we going to run with? One person in a mayor's position here in Westport? There has to be a governing body to do that work. And you can't just lose a body and say, we're going to deal with not having it. Like, nonsense. That's not what you do. So, no, Bob, I don't know enough about it. But if anybody knows more than I, by all means, chirp in and leave a message, and we'll follow up. I'm just kind of waiting and watching to see what happens. I hope they do the right thing, and I hope they make some decent decisions. So, does that answer that question, Bob? Mike McIntyre is the guy you want to talk to. Mike will know. Mike, if you're watching tonight, I want you back in the show. we can dive in. We can do a deep dive into that. Why is there a seat vacant in Westport? It's like musical chairs, I guess, right? Waiting for the music to stop for somebody to sit down in that chair. So.
Well, there definitely needs to be somebody representing businesses, especially when we're coming out of this pandemic in such a bad way. Most of us have been closed for half the year. We need somebody like Frank Huth on there that was very supportive of local businesses. We need somebody in there to speak for us.
We absolutely do, and Frank did a great job representing businesses. And whenever I had an issue, I'd call Frank or even Gerald, and they would listen to what I had to say, and they would bring my concerns forward. And it's not that the councillors of the day are not doing that, but when you leave a seat vacant, there's just one less person to kind of bend an ear for a business owner's position. So, yes, the next election, year and a half, I think I'm going to throw my name into the ring and maybe run as a councillor for the Village of Westport. That's my thought today anyway. Who knows? Maybe it'll change. But
give him a shot of espresso in 5 minutes, he'll change his mind.
Give me a shot of espresso and I'll change my mind in 5 minutes. But hey, look for my name on the ballot the next election. So anyway, have a great night, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad to be back Monday nights. I'll try to keep the show as entertaining as I possibly can. I'll try to bring you some good stories and happy stories. I don't want to be all doom and gloom here. There are a lot of great things happening, and we're lucky to be coming out of this pandemic alive. And we're all looking forward to getting back to business.
Absolutely.
So, peace, love, and water tonight. Make sure you hydrate. Drink lots of water. Oh, yeah. Can I leave you with anything? Do I have any little media clips that I can leave you with?
Let's have something.
I was going to, there's a few things I was going to add in, but I'm just going to play the intro and let it run out. So, have a good night, guys.